Hey guys, what's up? It's your boy Shayness with a new haircut because it was long overdue. And what could we possibly be doing today with these things in my hand? Let's find out. So today we're going to venture and do something that we've kind of dabbled a bit before. If you're a long-time viewer, a long time ago when I first got the Veloster, we did the amber deletes ourselves with the other brands that I'm not going to mention. But, you know, it wasn't such a hard ordeal. I mean, it was kind of a simple thing to do. So today we're going to dabble a little bit more into the awesome world of vinyl wrap. The only downside rookie mistake that I made was not measuring beforehand. So what that tells you is that me being dumb, I obviously did not get enough for everything that I wanted to wrap, but that's okay because it's gonna leave quite a bit left over for other things that I might wanna, you know, do. So you can go on eBay or Amazon and find tons of like vinyl wrap kits. I got this little $10 one because it has two squeegees. And since, you know, me and the Mad Maestro over here are gonna attempt to do this together, two is better than one. It also comes with a blade, a little tool, I don't know what it's called, but it's usually what you use to kind of tuck into like nooks and crannies. So that way we could tuck in the actual vinyl itself. It has this nifty blade to cut excess amounts, so once you measure the amount that you need, you can just, you know, slice straight on through. And just to be safe, I also got an X-Acto knife, because if you've ever used one of these, whether it's for vinyl stickers or whatnot, these things are sweet. The last thing that you will more than definitely need, especially if you have some high quality grade vinyl wrap, is some sort of heat gun, because this will help, one, take out any moisture near the vinyl application. You can use this. Some people that are really advanced, like professionals, use like a blowtorch, but this will be fine for those of us that are DIYers, you know, trying to figure this out. So that way we can help heat up the vinyl if we need to do any kind of stretching. Again, it's recommended not to stretch it out too much, but in limited amounts, you know, you can get away with it to make sure that it bends the way you need it to. So real quick, first we're using microfibers just to basically remove all of the dust. So one big no-no that a lot of people say, especially professionals, is don't use any kind of cleaning solution, just because even if you're using like a quick detail spray, there's a possibility that the chemicals will kind of stick to the surface and then essentially make the adhesive not as effective. So that's why we're just using plain old H2O to do this. Again, I am not a professional and I'm not super well versed in vinyl wrap. So if I'm mistakenly giving some advice, by all means, please correct me in the comments down below. I have kind of obviously spoken to people that do this for a living, and so they've given me some pointers. I feel that most of this information is correct, but again, if for whatever reason I mess up somewhere, please feel free to correct me. Another question I'm probably gonna get is, why don't I have Joey from Endless do this? Because they kind of do all my wrap stuff. And simply, I kind of wanted to do something on my own that's, I feel like this shouldn't be too hard to the point where you need to take it to a professional. And I know some of you guys might be interested in kind of seeing the ins and outs of actually doing something like this on your own, because let's be honest, taking it to a wrap expert is quite costly. So we're gonna try to help you save a little bit of money and see if we could get away with doing these particular pieces, which are obviously some of the most sought out and popular pieces to try to change the color of. Because I know some of you guys will use plastic dip or things like that. Depending on the quality of the job that you do with plastic dip, might be, you know, so that's why I went with wrap. Popular brands and expensive brands would be 3M and Avery. I'm using a slightly cheaper brand, again, just because I'm trying to be budget friendly for some of you guys that might not be able to spend, you know, $100 on those other brands. So I'm using a brand called Vivid, which I will show. I've seen a lot of people have some good luck with it. I've also heard some negatives, so I'll tell you my first-hand experience once we get down here. All right, so I'm not gonna go tell you the color yet, but as you can see, the first thing that we need to do is cut a piece. So we basically spread out the wrap itself, trying not to wrinkle it as best as possible. And we're essentially just gonna cut a piece from here and just go all the way straight through. So trim pieces that I'm looking at wrapping, I kind of want to do this, but we'll see first. I'm going to do a test on the vents and then maybe the center section. To get to these vents, you have to use a body panel removal tool. You can use a flathead screwdriver, but you might want to put kind of like either a rag here, so when you prop out, you're not scratching the rest of your trim. This, you don't have to remove it fully, you just open it up. There's two bolts that you need a Phillips head screwdriver to remove this. Once you remove those 2 bolts, then this with a body panel removal tool, you can just kind of shake and pull out, it's clipped in. So, as I said, comes out, there's just clips holding them out, 1, 2, 3, 4 after the bolts. And then essentially, if you really wanted to, you could also remove the duct. It's being held by 4 little screws, 1, 2, 3 right there, and then 4. We're gonna try to be lazy as usual and try to not remove the full ducting, but this is what it's gonna look like. No worries, it'll look pretty again once we put it back together. This is where a heat gun comes in handy. So we cut off a piece. As you can see, it's already kind of hanging over the edges. So we're gonna use a squeegee to obviously seat down the sides first, heat gun it to make sure all the air bubbles are out, and then just kind of work our way with the X-Acto knife, cutting excess amounts. So here's the finished product after we installed it. I'll show you how to reinstall on the other end once we're doing it, but it came out actually really nice. The hardest part with vinyl wrap as opposed to paint is obviously the edges. There's tiny imperfections. Most of them you won't be able to see, but if I zoom in, there's like the tiniest wrinkle here. I'm doing this side now, this way. And so a lot of you guys were probably gonna ask me why I didn't just remove the trim. Essentially, if you actually look into what it takes to remove that portion, you actually have to take off the whole door panel, and then there's actually, it's held on with the centerpiece. It's quite complicated, but essentially from what it looks like, you also have to kind of drill out some things just to be able to remove the trim portion from the actual door handles part. So I'm doing it this way. As you can see, we already have the design pretty well. We've already gotten rid of the air bubbles. Again, the edges are going to be the hardest parts. As you can tell right here, it's got the tiniest of wrinkles. I did it over and over, but the way you're going to combat that is by using the heat gun and blowing at it. And basically with the heat gun, you'll blow at it and you'll hold the actual vinyl to stretch it out to make sure that you're able to kind of finesse it. And then with the X-Acto blade, I literally just cut to make the line as perfect as possible. So as you can see, we're kind of working on the rest of the shape, and then we'll just cut out the inside. So the update and the nice thing about vinyl wrap is that with the X-Acto knife, I was able to cut in this section and basically start making sure that the edges were smoothing out so it's sticking correctly. You just want to be careful not to cut. I'm going to show you, obviously, I kind of cut a little too preemptively. So there's the tiniest bit of the original color there. So my loss. And also, like I said, sometimes imperfections will happen. I use the heat gun, but again, edges are really hard to get wrinkles out. So I mean, I know this isn't perfection or anything, but as far as doing it yourself, these are probably things that you're not going to notice. Obviously, if you're going for show quality, you're going to want to redo it over and over again and make sure that everything's great. But as you can see, the wrap job is pretty successful. I've already kind of taken the shape. Now I'm just going to run the X-Acto knife to cut off the excess amount, make sure everything is nice and tucked in, and I'll show you the finished product in a moment. And so you got the finished product looking pretty good. Again, there's the tiniest of imperfections, but it looks really cool. And the nice thing about using vinyl wrap is that obviously you can change colors whenever you so feel like it relatively easily, but it also does not require you to actually start covering other pieces off, or obviously removing the whole door panel to try to get this whole section off. So as you can see now, when we close the door, it's all the same matching color. And I know I actually didn't tell you guys what color this is. This is called Demon Black, I suppose. Essentially, it's a matte, kind of a flat black with a red flake built in. So that's why it doesn't really look different from before. And the camera doesn't really do it justice, but you can kind of see some of it. I mean, obviously it doesn't look the same as black. For some reason, I feel like the camera kind of picks it up as a kind of purplish gunmetal hue, but it is indeed black, and it does have that red flake. And I really appreciate it on the inside, especially because I went with this color scheme because the R-Spec has the red interior, obviously. So it just makes it look pretty neat in my opinion. I'm not going to do the whole cluster bezel just because I don't want to remove that. There is another YouTuber that has done that section, so I can link you guys down below if this is something that you want to learn how to tear apart. I just I don't mind having this black. And I know you could do other stuff, like you could do the steering wheel bezel right here. I'm not going to do that just because maybe in the future I might consider doing an actual aftermarket steering wheel. The only other portion I do plan to do is this one. We'll see if I have enough time to do it in this video. Otherwise, I'll do it in another video. But this is kind of a big section. This is one that's going to call out a lot more attention than the side panel or air ducts. But again, because it's so close in the black scheme, you know, it's such a subtle color difference that I feel like it'll make the car pop. And then eventually I'm gonna go to eliminate the silver, just because again, it's just a color that's, you know, really out there and doesn't really match the rest of the interior minus the door handles. All right, so I said I would show you guys how to reinstall this, and you would honestly think that this is pretty easy. It is. You literally just kind of, well, no, before I reinstall it, we actually did take out this intake scoop with the screws like I showed you earlier. There's 4, 1, 2, 3 right there, and 4 right there. Sorry, I won't focus, but we reattached it, so literally you just put that in. Now, again, I said this should be easy, right? And it is. However, the first time I installed the other side, you'll notice that there's a clip right here that goes in. Forgive me for the wind noise. You literally have to make sure that that aligns well, because otherwise what will happen is it'll still seat, but you'll literally see a gap like that, and you'll notice that this part, even though the top would seat perfectly, this part right here will actually be sticking out a little bit. So just kind of push up. Oh, let's see. So, okay, see, now that gap's eliminated. You can still kind of see it though. So I'm gonna push it in, make sure this one clips in right here. There we go. So it clipped in, not going anywhere, no gap up here. And then you can see right here, this is flush. So now just push it in, make sure it's clipped, and done perfectly. Seated exactly. So now we're literally just gonna put 2 bolts back, 1, 2, and then put this whole cover back. All right, so forgive me for the wind noise again. It's bolted down, 1 and 2. Now this piece, because we did remove it, it's really easy, but you see how it has that lip? So you're actually going to want to put this in first to make sure it goes under the weather stripping. Again, just because you want to make sure that everything's sealing properly. It's underneath the weather stripping. Now you just push it in and then just hit it. There we go. All clips are in, and then the sealant is over, not under. So that's kind of the biggest thing. And now this is all set. So as you can see, it's seated and installed nice and flush. And if I close the door, voila, this side matches that. And again, it's a nice little different color, just nice little dress up, gives it a little pop. You can kind of see the imperfections showing up a little bit, but such as vinyl wrap, especially if you use one that's cheaper quality like I did. Hey guys, so here's the biggest reason for the delay of the video, and as you can see, I've had this on for quite some time. We did this properly, but it's just the quality of the material. You could tell right there that it's just kind of bubbling up and it's getting wrinkled up at the edges. You see this little edge right here too. Again, we were very thorough about being careful and installing this and doing it the right way, but it's just natural imperfections in the material. On this side, as you can see, it's still fine, you know, flat surfaces. This is me messing up on the cutting, so nothing major. But yeah, you can notice it here as well, starting to, not this little stain, but right here, this tiny little bubble. So yeah, I would definitely, if you guys are gonna go this route, just pay the little extra money, honestly, save up, and yeah, just get better quality material. Hey guys, what's up? So I'm at home base. This video, a lot of this was done actually a little while back. I was meaning to release it sooner, but I did start noticing the discrepancies in the vinyl wrap that you're seeing in that last portion of the video. Again, I had obviously heard bad things from that specific brand I used, and it's hit or miss. I really do think that, just full disclosure, that the reason why I had that type of luck with it was because of it was a flat color as opposed to a gloss. I've heard people using the gloss ones having a little bit more flexibility. Don't know if it's part of the printing process or whatnot, but again, I'm just trying to be as transparent as possible because maybe some of you guys have used this brand and have had better luck than I did. But I would recommend saving the extra money and getting a reputable brand like 3M or Avery. It's just easier. I've used those brands before and everything flexes so much easier than this does. And I'm not even making this up because I bought an abundance of this wrap. I've tried wrapping this on so many different types of materials that this one, for whatever reason, just doesn't do well, especially when you start talking about edges and corners. The adhesive just doesn't do good because of the flexibility of the material. So yes, it's sticky enough, but once you start bedding things, the vinyl wrap doesn't want to do it. And because of that, even though it sticks, the adhesive isn't sticky enough to fight back against the resistance of it. And if that doesn't make sense, I'll show you real quick. I tried doing this to my laptop. Let me jump straight to that. So real quick, here's my MacBook Pro, and I tried doing the adhesive, and well, here, I can just show you right here. So this edge, okay, nasty on here, but as you start moving forward, you start noticing that, look, it doesn't stick. And believe me, I made sure to go ahead and clean this properly. I love the color, I love everything, but I mean, just to give you full transparency, you can actually go to companies like D-Brand online and buy skins pre-made for MacBooks, and they all use 3M, and obviously they don't have any issues. They're cut perfectly. So honestly, with vinyl wrap, you shouldn't have any issues just, you know, doing it on your own. Anyways, that being said, that wraps the video up. I do plan on doing a lot more to the interior. I'm going to basically start over. I'm going to redo these sections, and I'll probably show a quick summary of it in a video. I want to do that center console portion along with some other stuff, and I'm going to do a different color. I really liked this color, but as you can see in the video, in bad light, it does look kind of purplish, so yeah, it's not really matching so well, but it's basically progress, and it's trial and error, and now I know what I want and what to do. The one bit of advice that I would give you guys before I sign off is, if you are planning on dabbling with vinyl wrap, make sure you buy samples. Don't go buy pictures, don't go buy anything, because two things: the color is going to look different obviously on the images, but it's also going to look different depending on your light, whether you're in the dark or in sunlight. So to give you an example, a lot of companies will sell you like color samples. So as you can see, I was looking at reds, and these are just an example, but these things come out to be like $2 from sellers on Amazon, and that way you get an idea of what color you're getting. So I would obviously tell you to check in the sunlight and in the dark just to see how you like it. These right now, I can already tell you just by the camera reflection and obviously by the image, these are nowhere being depicted as what they are in my hand, like with my eyes. So if these look kind of like off red, believe me, they're not. They're really great and vivid. Originally I was really set on this particular shade. I saw it in pictures, it looked amazing, and in person it looks very, very almost borderline champagne-ish. Like, it's not really as like a red that I want. It's kind of going into the purple. So again, I was literally ready to drop money on that. I'm really glad I listened to Subi Lu and getting samples before, so that way I kind of know. Also, if you don't want to spend the money and you have a vinyl wrap company nearby, a shop, they usually have stacks of colors just from the multiple companies that they deal with, so you can go to your local wrap shop and just see what colors they have to offer, get a color code, and probably order some online yourself, especially if it's for a small DIY project. That wraps it up, guys. Thanks for all the love and support. Thanks for your patience on the video. Sorry for doing a horrible job. I really thought it was me at first, but again, just this particular vinyl wrap was not doing what I needed to do. As always, guys, I'll see you guys in the next video with more projects. Be safe, have fun, and bye. car would come like right now when I'm about to start recording.